You don't want to use that word.
No.
So I'm going to take that back.
The CC.
Join 3 longtime friends who love to chat it up and have a passion for connecting women in friendship and doing life together. In a world that has disconnected from one another, we're bringing back the chat. If you would, please hit the subscribe button and the notification bell here on YouTube. We'd love for you to join the chat and help us grow this channel so we can connect with more women. All right, here's today's chat.
Hi, welcome back. We're so glad you're here with us today, friends.
Join the chat.
Join the chat. Yes. Hey, we're starting a 3-part series on friendship today. And welcome. It's going to take 3 times for us to get together to talk about this.
We got a lot of friendship stories.
The first part, we're going to talk about kinds of friendships. And when you think about spices as they are to food, friendships are to life.
Yes.
They make our life so rich and so much sweeter.
And food with no spice is
Hospital food.
Hospital food. No, you gotta have those spices.
We all need friendships. They come in all
Yes.
different shapes, sizes. They appear, they disappear sometimes, and they reappear, which has been really cool.
Yes.
Friendships give us so many different things in life. They give us acceptance, they give us comfort, they give us understanding, hope, courage, fun, and laughter, which is what we all love. Friendships are so fun. The one thing that's interesting is that no one person can be that friend that's everything to us. You know, like I get a little bit from you, I get a little bit from you, a little bit from her, but that's what makes the spices all mixed together to make something great.
Yes, and I think that a lot of people like to be a one-person friend.
Yeah.
And so they expect to get everything from one person, and it's really impossible.
Right.
Well, that may be if you're more of an introverted person, going and finding a bunch of friends
It's hard.
is harder.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
So then if you can kind of glom onto that one friend and you don't want to wear them out. Yeah. So,
Well, the only one person that can do that is Jesus.
Yes.
Really, if we just, remember that He is our friend.
Our relationship with him.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, let's just talk about different seasons of friendships when we think about shapes, sizes, and things like that. Can you give an example, Cindy, of a friendship that was just in a season?
Oh, I have several that I could think of, but I'm sure you don't want me to go over my minute.
Oh,
she got one.
Okay.
But when our kids were in high school, you spend a lot of time on bleachers and watching sports and all the things that high school moms do. And I met this lady who was at a completely different part in life from me. She was a professional in a Fortune 500 company, and she was highly trained, traveled around the world, and I totally loved this lady. We had such a connection, and I couldn't wait to see her. In fact, I had to really work at watching the game.
Because she was doing so much talking.
Imagine that.
Imagine that. I never knew what was going on in the games.
But she just enriched my world. I just loved her stories and just the way that she understood people, and she was so mature, and I just really look forward to that time with her for those years of high school bleachers.
So where are you at today?
Well, actually, it's been years, and our kids roomed together their first year in college, so we kind of kept in touch that way a little bit. I would take cookies, I would take whatever back and forth to campus, and as they got older, we kind of grew apart because we didn't have that convenience of always having to be there. It was a season, and I still respect her. I run into her once a year or so, and I just still she has a really special place in my heart.
Isn't it neat how God provides friendships for different times?
Yeah, so that was a season.
What about you, Molly? Like when you think about your store, I know you've gone to a virtual store now, but when you had that brick and mortar and people came in all the time.
Yes, definitely. I made some friends that came in. I would have never met some of these people, and if I hadn't had the store. And then there were people, because I did some videos on Facebook where pushing my product. I gotta get it out the door. So they would come in and they would almost act like they know me, but I didn't know them. And then I would get to know them, and even because some come to my mind, I'm like, I need to check on them and touch base, and that's kind of part 2. That's a hint about part 2. What's having some initiative in friendship. So yeah, definitely.
That's pretty cool.
And
though.
I met those people I would have never probably ever met in my community if I hadn't had that store. So
that's so neat.
And oftentimes with friendships, we meet them just if we're involved in our kids' school, at church. We meet them, if we're on a exercise class. You just never know. They're just, people are everywhere, but it's just taking that initiative.
Yeah. So whether you're a preschool mother, a mother of teenagers, an empty nester, a grandma, you can think back over your life to people that you have known. And maybe you need to pick that up again.
And that's where we go into historical friendships. You
Yeah.
can kind of move those seasonal friendships. Because I think of one gal in particular, she's still out in the Phoenix area. Like a sister, we went through so much together, cried together, laughed our heads off together, and we still obviously keep in contact today. But funny, crazy when you have like events that you've done with somebody. We took these teenagers in a youth group across the desert from Phoenix to LA. Stayed at this Bible college, and she was a high school teacher, so she knew kids better than I did. But I had good kids; they never gave me in trouble. And she's like, "We can't do that. We need to lock our door at night." You don't know what they're gonna. Those girls' pranks are gonna. I'm like, what? So, and I just had hilarious times, and I know that when we get together, we'll be still laughing and through those kind of things. So
Pick right back up.
So she's a historical sister, actually. By now, you get to
that's
sister.
what I call it. It's like when you have history with someone that becomes years and years and years. You've done life together, raised kids together. That really becomes more like family.
Yes, and it takes a long time. It takes a lot of life, to build that up. It's not something that happens in 6 months.
But have you guys ever met someone that you just click with?
Oh, yes.
Yeah,
Right away. Immediately, you think, it's kind of a cliche comment. I feel like I've known her forever.
Yes.
And that is a super gift.
That's a soul connection.
Yes.
That your hearts are connected and you just get each other.
Some
Great
soul
point.
food.
Yeah.
And that
I had not to interrupt you, but I had a friend that it probably had been 12 years since I'd even seen her. And she was another bleacher friend. You spend all that time in that bleachers with high school, life. And our kids were the same age. After they graduated, went to different colleges, and I kind of lost touch with her. 12 years later, I'm in a nail salon, and she walks in and sits in the chair beside me and says, "Oh my goodness, I haven't seen you in forever." And we had an instant connection. And since then, we have traveled internationally together. We have gone on trips. I've been to out of state to see her. I mean, it's just amazing that was rekindled after 12 years.
That's so
So,
well, that happened with
historical
Cindy
friends.
I'm sorry, it happened with Molly. Yeah. That was so interesting we initially were really good friends.
Picture ladies.
We hung out, our husbands connected, our kids connected, and then she moved away, and immediately, within months, I lost touch with her. And I had no idea what happened to her all those years. And then when I heard she was moving back to town, I was really kind of hurt because I thought, what happened to that friendship? Yeah. But then until I actually reconnected with her, sat down and found out what had happened to her all those years, we reconnected, and it was just really cool. So you really can't give up on people. You never know who's going to come back in your life that is still as precious to you.
I think because I've moved around a lot, when you're the person moving out of town, you're just focusing on settling a new life. Not that you forget about the other people. The people left behind, you're like,
what about me?
Yes.
I thought we were friends.
And you're so consumed with trying to fit in, find a new way, or get your kids settled in school that maybe you don't think about how the person's feeling that got left behind.
This is true.
So,
but it's kind of cool that it gives you opportunity for growth too, right? And just to be secure enough to call that person back up and say, "Hey, what happened to you?" I think
so. What would you tell someone our takeaway from this would be?
Well, the takeaway is just to reach out. There are people everywhere in our lives that we need to continue to reach out to. Would you agree, girls?
Absolutely.
Introvert or not.
And that's our segue into part 2.
Intentional friendships.
Yes, being intentional, taking initiative.
How to be a good friend. How to be that friend. Well, thanks so much. We look forward to seeing you in our next part. Bye-bye.